again. Okay, I out. Where is everyone? Let's find blue, 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 blue. From where you come from? No, no, no. Oh, come on. That was hard. I actually didn't even get a thing. Get real-time insights and your customized view of the market. It's smarter trading technology for smarter trading decisions. Fidelity. Selling a home is expensive and stressful, so we set out to create a better home selling experience with a network of the most successful real estate in America. They'll sell your home for as little as a 2% commission. The icing on the cake with the idea maker was that we say $200,000 in commission. They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them. We are not a discounter. I got Thai last December, and I spent almost every day. I see this. Actually, I played this one. No, I played the first one. I played the second one. Just what kind of came recommended. Just always thought. Well, every time I'm in here, you don't always stay here. Food. As soon as we brought the farm stock in, her skin was better. She was more active, high quality food. If I can invest better than the bedroom. Be proactive. I think it's worth it. Your bedroom have to be better than my one.
This was two bedrooms. As the Republican convention continues in Washington with its all the bedrooms are the same size. And this is supposed to be two here. The wall was amazing. Fear-mongering and loyalty oaths to Donald Trump. The group is called Repair and is led by former Homeland Security official Lawrence Taylor and launched
Right
there,
so you have a door right
more
across
than
there.
24 former Republican members of Congress.
Now watch me.
Joe
Here,
Biden.
look at as big as
In
your
an
own.
op-ed in the Washington Post last
All
week,
three
Taylor
bedrooms are the
sounded the
same
alarm
size.
about Donald Trump, saying, at Homeland
And
Security,
make
I
it
saw
into two.
firsthand how
What's
dangerous
even
Trump
though?
is for America.
What's
Joining
separate
us is
window?
Miles Taylor, former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff and co-founder of the Republican
Right here. Look
Political
at the wall right
Alliance
here.
for Integrity and Reform.
Yeah, see the line.
Mr. Taylor, thank you so much. Really appreciate you spending some time here tonight.
Oh, I see. So we used to be here. Right, this used to be.
It wasn't that straight line. It wasn't that straight line.
This used to be Curtin bedroom.
Give me your reaction to the
I'm
indictment
moving
of
here.
Steve Bannon. He was
Yes, that was
indicted
in
for
the back
allegedly defrauding people who were donating $25 million.
So I think we were still here all the
Build the
time?
wall.
Huh?
So I think we were still here and no
No,
people were there?
no.
Whether or
So
not
this
There,
is yours
Curtin
there?
bed. Curtin bed was right here.
fixation
Right here. On that used to be the little bed.
Oh.
Fisher Sand and Gravel
Oh.
that supposedly this fundraising was meant to
Yeah.
benefit.
That was actually weird.
Coming up, that this is the company that should be used to build the wall.
This way, this way, this. I forget what it
We
is.
all up to the
Interesting that you bring up Fisher, because I do have recollections about that. As I recall, the senator from that home
What is
state,
it
I believe that was Senator Daines at the time, sent a letter to the
No, no, no,
president
no.
and said,
No, no, no.
I've got a
I
company
didn't have to go.
that works in my state who can build the wall so much cheaper than it's being built. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was something like, they said we could build it for a third of the cost. This was problematic for a few reasons, all right? When you go into government, one of the first things they teach you in the bureaucracy is when it comes to procurement, you've got to be very, very careful, right? People can protest and they can sue, and it has to go through an impartial process, and it will to that process, because that can can lead to political unfairness and corruption and kickbacks and all kinds of bad things. So I remember sitting in his office, and he actually raised this. He said, look, he's telling me that his company can do it for a third of the cost. Why don't we go with them? And everyone's hair kind of stood up on edge, because the last thing you want is the president involved in a procurement, especially when a political ally has sent him a letter for companies that it all goes through the same process. If their bid legitimately is the best bid,
At least it have a little spot that I can
but it
fit in.
doesn't work by just raising a letter from your favorite politician and saying he's got a company that's going to do great, and then we pick him. That's not how government works, but it definitely raised alarm bells.
So a lot of the ways in which the whole Homeland Security process worked, I think, alarmed a lot of people. One of which was this idea that Donald Trump wanted the border closed, that he essentially said, do what you got to do to close it, and I'll pardon anyone who commits a crime in the process. Is that something that was being said openly?
Oh no. Am I dead?
But when that episode happened in April of 2019, at least for me, that was a moment where I decided I have to go. I mean, I can't stay in this administration any longer. The president wanted officials to do things that were illegal. He wanted us to say
I want to go back in my
people
body.
seeking asylum at the border could not come into the country.
Why can't I go back in my body?
Come in, even though our law affords asylum seekers the opportunity to make their claim when they're fleeing violence and persecution and they're seeking a better life. The president said, I don't care. Don't let any of them in. And if you get in trouble, I'll pardon you. That's pretty damning. And I went back to the department after that. I talked to our chief lawyer and I said, did what we just hear we don't think that him saying that is illegal, but it's certainly corrupt and it's wrong. And at that point in time, like I said, it was time to get out.
You know, Kirsten Nielsen, who emerged as sort of a villainess of these separations of children from their parents, what a lot of people say is the stealing of children, because it's not clear that those children, all of them, have been returned to their families or reunited with their families, opposed to it, at least in a show of hands, but she still did it.
No,
Did you get the
no,
sense that
no,
there was
no,
a strong
no.
opposition
No!
to what was done to these children inside
Oh
of the
yes!
agency, or was there more of a motivation
Yeah, I want to
do
play
it
this again.
because
It's
they
fun.
knew Donald Trump wanted it?
It's fun.
So this is where it gets tricky, and it's really hard to explain this publicly. But what happened was, in year one of the administration, there were people in the White House who wanted to do a deliberate policy
No.
of ripping children away from their parents at the border. So no matter where they showed up, if they came across illegally or showed up at a port of entry, which is legal and safe to do, they wanted to just
Agree.
when that was suggested to the departments, the next year proposed a zero tolerance policy. Fine, he said, everyone who crosses either legally will be prosecuted. Now, if that worked well and the system was efficient, it would be a few hours that a parent would be
Okay,
away
so
from their
just
child,
now I'm
which
gonna
happens
turn
every
it
day
out
after
thing.
the Obama administration
Gonna
is still
stick
happening
with
now. But then quickly
actually everything is. What the man? No, I'm a sick.
they're saying, you're talking about thousands of additional people overnight being prosecuted. So the secondary consequence, the secretary saw that disaster coming. In fact, that's the reason
Am I?
got so frustrated with her is the attorney general announced the policy, and weeks go by, and they said, DHS, why aren't you referring us these cases? And we said, because we're not ready to do it until you tell us there's the resources to make sure we won't have this problem and that people will get put back together. That meeting happened, and of course the White House said, we're going to take a vote. Everyone outvoted the secretary. Even agencies within our department said, we think we can do it. We think we have the resources. A few weeks later, it became true that that was not the case.
Okay.
There weren't the resources, and this should have been a disaster that never happened in the first place, but it shows you what happens in a culture and an administration where policymaking isn't taken seriously.
Dead.
They don't run a good process, and the president's willing to sign on to anything before it's
To exchange Puerto Rico for Greenland, which is insane that is the case. But very quickly,
I feel like you moved.
before I
Maybe I
let you
could
go,
go to
what's the
things.
thing you fear most? You have a new organization that's working to make sure that Donald Trump is not elected again. What's the thing you fear most if he gets 4 more years?
Well, look, I'll say this. As a Republican, Joy, and I'm still a Republican, I think the party is on life support. If Donald Trump wins a second term, at a minimum, the Republican Party will be on hospice, okay? We'll be near death as a party. But my bigger concern is what this is going to mean for the Republicans.
me run
And I don't
fast.
say that to try to sound high-minded and above the fray, but genuinely.
Yeah,
I think
when I
the
say
president
this, I'm
has
putting it
done
back
such
on.
great damage to American